Well, today we've come to the busy town centre of Streatham, which is a town within London, if you call it a town. To me it looks like a town anyway. And behind me we can see we've got the Odeon cinema here in Streatham. It's a huge building. We're going to go inside now and meet Geoff, the chief technician, and he's going to show us around this very, very interesting building. So come with me and let's have a look at the Odeon cinema here in Streatham.
Geoff Gill, Chief Technician of the Odeon film set of Streatham, and I started here on the 28th of July 1968, and so I've done 32 years now, and I've got roughly 11 and a half years left to do. I actually have to retire on the 2nd of February 2012 at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, because that was the time I was born, and it'll be Thursday the 2nd of February 2012, so just hope there's not a lot of programmes to change that day.
No.
When I started here we were a theatre and a cinema. We were a single screen cinema then in those days, and we always had a Christmas pantomime for 4 weeks in December and January. And we just had films on Sunday, which meant Saturday night the screen had to be lowered down from the grid, and all the speakers, well, just the one speaker in those days, brought out from on its trolley from behind the screen. And then on Monday morning it all had to go away again for another 6 days of stage shows.
Wow.
The first Christmas pantomime I did here was Dick Emery and Joe Brown in Cinderella, and we had some real ponies pulling the Cinderella's coach on. And then the following year we had Norman Vaughan and Peter Noon from Herman's Hermits and Aladdin. And then we didn't do another pantomime until 1974, when it was Tony Blackburn and Tessa Wyatt in Cinderella again.
Wow.
And in the meantime we did have the London Festival Ballet here for a week, plus other one-night stands of the Four Tops, Stevie Wonder. And just before I came here, the Stones appeared here, but that was just before I came here. Then in 1979 we were tripled and made into a 3-screen cinema. We remained open throughout, started in September 79 and we opened just in late December 79, just before Christmas.
Wow, that's fantastic history.
Then they did the tripling. They merely just raised the screen a few feet, and we used the same proscenium arch and everything, but because of the vast empty amount of space in the old front stalls, we had a lot of problems with sound. And then they decided in 1981 to put Dolby in, and brought the screen forward a little way on a metal frame and lowered down the old safety curtain behind. And that's how it really remained up until 1989, 1990, when it was decided to add a further 2 auditoria to make us 5. And the work started on that in June 1991 and was completed at the end of September 1991. And the old stage area was all the old stage equipment, the counterweight system, and all the scene docks, the equipment, the cranes, the lifts, and everything was all ripped out, and screen 3 was built on the stage there. Wow. And the old front stalls area, that was made screen 5, so in effect we became Odeons 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And apart from the installation of Dolby in 1994 in one of the 2 new screens, because one already had it fitted, we then really remained until 1990. 1998, when it was decided to add a further 3 auditoria to this theatre, and the work was all due to start in September of last year, but unfortunately they have problems with the local authority on fire exits and precautions, and the work was then put back, and at the moment, according to our managing director, it is still going on and should be starting in the near future, but it will make this theatre quite different. The projection room we're standing in now will be demolished.
Yes.
The foyer then put to the wall over there,
Yes.
the front wall of the box. That will then become the back wall of the projection box.
Yes.
Screens 2 and 4 will be made smaller. Screen 5, which is currently in the former front stalls area, will be split into 2. And biggest of all, our number 1 auditorium, which seats 1,095, was the old circle.
Yes.
That will be converted into 3 auditoria to make us 8 screens in all.
No plans for a brand new multiplex then?
No. The ABC up the road, which is now of course part of Odeon,
Yeah.
there are probably that might close as nothing has been done to it, and it does need a bit of work done. And whether or not the new multiplex at Crystal Palace, which is still in the planning stage,
UCI is too.
UCI,
Yes.
whether that will affect us, we don't know. But of course, the transport between here and Crystal Palace isn't that regular.
Are we far from Crystal Palace?
About 4 miles.
It should be
But it's,
okay.
there is also, of course, a new Warner opening at Croydon down in the town centre, the old Grants department store. And of course, there's always the ongoing rumours of Battersea Power Station.
Yes.
What's going to become a 32-screen Warner cinema.
Yeah, I can't see that ever happening. Steve and I were talking about that on the train coming down.
And there's all various rumours of multiplexes, but we're in a very big catchment area here, and our audiences in a way react that, because we have audiences from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum.
Yes.
We can have those that really want to see one of, let's say, a Shakespeare film or something,
Yes.
and those that want to come in and see Mission Impossible 2, and
Of course.
we do have quite a variety of audience here.
Because it's like a multiracial,
Yes.
multinational, I think I should say, area, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
there's only one cinema in Brixton, which is the Ritzy, and one at Clapham.
Is that far from here?
Brixton's about 2 miles,
Oh, right.
and Clapham's about 2 to 3 miles. But
That's only a small cinema, isn't it?
Unlike the Ritzy Brixton, it's more a repertory type
Yes.
cinema. And apart from the ABC up the road, the nearest one to us is the Safari at Croydon, the former ABC, which is. Sometimes it surprises me where all the people come from. I mean, we've run Stuart Little upstairs to packed houses. It's now down in number 4, and where they're all coming from,
Oh, well, it's good that they're coming anyway, Geoff.
Yeah. We are one of and I do understand from our marketing department, this Odeon sells more popcorn than any other Odeon on the circuit.
Oh, congratulations.
But we don't see much of that, of course.
No, of course.
Our current manager has successfully started a movie, Senior Citizens Club, on Wednesday morning. That's very successful, and they choose the films they want to see, and if they're available.
What time?
It's on every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
For £1.70, they get unlimited free tea, coffee and biscuits, and the film, of course.
How many do you get each?
It's on average, we're averaging around 150 to 200.
That's exciting.
And Kenny McMorrow's former show, Worcester, he did it there, but Worcester is more of a retired area.
Yes.
And places like Worcester and Cheltenham do very well, but he thought he would give it a try here, and it's certainly successful. And what's more, they're asked what films they want. They're given a sheet of paper. Some of them, unfortunately, are no longer available, like the early 1930s and 40s black and white classics.
Yes.
But we're showing Secrets and Lies this Wednesday, and we did get hold of a 1964 Lawrence of Arabia film.
Wow.
Which was very long, so we had to have an intermission with it.
Yes.
But it does very well. They're held in the downstairs screen, so they don't have to go up to the number 1.
Excellent.
And we also do the movie mobs currently doing the Disney movie mobs on Saturday.
Oh yes.
And late night shows when the product warrants it.
Oh, brilliant.
But we do understand that when we have the additional screens, we will be completely rebranded and refurbished.
So it's good to see the old Odeon Washington
Yes,
sign outside.
So
That's excellent.
on your tours today, Fred, people might say, "Oh, is that Odeon carpet still in existence?" Or do they still have seats like that, and even projectors like a Vic 4,
Yeah.
which we are promised will be replaced.
Oh, fantastic.
As Paul Schofield, our technical executive, said, he obviously isn't going to be renewing equipment now.
Yes.
It's all going to be taken out and
Absolutely.
demolished.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at your projectors then?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Well, we're in projection box 2 and 4 at the moment.
Yes.
And this equipment over here actually wasn't new when it was put in 1979.
Yes.
It came from the Odeon Cinema at Dalston in North London.
Oh, right.
And that was only a triple for about 5 years before it closed.
Yes.
And so they decided to bring the equipment from Dalston and install it here.
Oh, excellent.
So these Philips plate systems are in fact getting on for 30 years old now.
Wow.
And unfortunately they have reached the end of their useful life.
Yes, definitely.
And the Vic 4s now, some mechanical Vic 4s of course are not.
Oh, I know. They just need dumping, don't they, the fours?
And the film showing currently here is Mission Impossible 2.
Yes.
And that's in Odeon still. We do have Dolby on all screens now, but
Yes.
just digital and not again. There again, spares are very hard to come by now for these mates. And the big fours and big 5s is the norm.
Yes.
And the only difference in these two back in the Dolby is they enlarged the picture sizes a few years ago, just so they could make them get a few feet here and a few feet there. And of
Excellent.
course we've got CD players now, where we started with ordinary record players.
Oh no. Don't forget the old Brenograph.
Oh yes, yes.
We always have the Brenograph.
Well, I was used to on odd days go out to the Odeon Lewisham. That was a live show theatre, which remained a live show theatre right up
Yes.
until it closed in 1981. And there they had the Brenograph still up in the projection room.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what happened to it, but may possibly have gone to somewhere like the Science Museum or
Ah,
something.
right, yeah. Odeon Streatham had one, didn't
Yes,
they?
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All we had here were 2 Stelma spotlights and slide lanterns.
Have you still got those?
No, they went to Ronald Grant's. I believe Ronald Grant, who runs an archive
Yes.
museum in Kennington.
Yes.
He had quite a bit of our equipment.
It's a shame all
As long as
these...
he dismantled it,
Yeah.
away like.
I mean, that was what cinema's all about, wasn't
Yeah,
it? You know?
yeah.
Yeah, the old
Yeah.
spots and whatever.
Well, I was interested to read in your page, Fred,
yes.
on the internet about you having a little cinema when you were a
Oh, I
boy.
saw- yes.
And I really, in a way, did that myself.
Really?
I bought a Pollock's Toy Theatre
Yes.
and decided I'd make a cinema out of it.
Yes.
Put a piece of white paper up in front of the proscenium arch.
Wow.
Where we actually are now was the old where the wheelchairs used to be.
Oh, yes.
When we were single screen.
Yes.
And you can just make out the edge of the circle there. That's the circle goes round.
Oh, wow.
You used to be able to sit here and see the screen right on the stage. But that's and where we are actually going now is the old generator room, which is our projection box.
Yes.
We go through part of the old theatre, the old dressing room corridors to get to it.
Wow.
And this was a new doorway built here.
Yes.
And just here was once all the counterweight.
Really?
All the counterweight system that used to lower the scenery up and down.
Yes.
The floor was levelled then. And this is was the old scene dock, which they converted into an exit. And we've still got the main stage board here. Obviously you're actually on the side of the stage now.
Yes.
And this is what we used to work all the scenery and everything off.
Good God.
Work all the lighting for the scenery and the stage shows, with all the old orchestra pit lights. And in the number 1 auditorium, there were all glass panels all around it in the old circle. And these were the scenes you used to put on to light it all up behind the Egyptian glass and everything. Yeah. And the old orchestra conductor lights, the blackouts. And in mentioned earlier, 1974, we had the pantomime Cinderella here. Yes. And you know when the clock strikes midnight, she changes back into, coach changes into a pumpkin there. And we used to, when the conductor used to go bong for midnight on the drum, we used to have to put this up because it lit up the grandfather clock on the stage. And I wrote that in 1974, the word clock. Because it's still there, yeah.
Good God.
All those years onwards.
That's amazing.
And the reason it was left in here was because it was considered too expensive to dismantle.
Oh no.
And none of it's in use now, it's all completely dead and disconnected. Yes. And yes, we used to stand on the side of the stage here and work all the lights for the stage shows.
That is truly amazing.
I believe it's called a Grand Master. I believe there was a similar one at the old Streatham Hill Theatre, but I'm not 100% sure of that. This was the scene dock, and they just built an exit way inside the scene dock. And we can go out this way and along through the stage door if you like to get to box 3. Instead of going back to the auditorium.
Sure.
This was the scene dock. This was much wider then, and they just built an exit out through it.
Right.
And you can see up there the old crane that used to take the scenery in and everything.
Wow.
Big run of shutter. If you go above there, there's all the old scene dock up there. We go in the stage door now, where all the obviously the artists that used to come in. Some of those quicker than going around the original.
Yes, so you often come out and go in this way?
Yeah, sometimes quicker. There was a lot of public.
Wow.
This was the old stage door. Okay.
Yes.
The old stage door, keeper's office, the fireman's lodge.
Likewise, wow.
And firemen and then all the artists and everybody come in this way.
This sprinkler system. Yeah,
the sprinkler, the Hoffman sprinkler, which was kept in use well up until stage play licence was relinquished when we were made into 5 screens in 1991. Although actually the last stage show that we ever did here was 1978 at Ian Drury. Just recently died.
That's right.
So I don't think Odeon kept the stage plays licence going after that because we could no longer do stages.
Yes.
We're now along the centre dressing room corridor.
Yes.
Which has housed quite a few famous names, but one is now converted into the boiler room, the old girls, chorus girls' room. This was.
Really?
It's now the boiler house.
Wow.
And this was another dressing room where they built a boiler. It was converted to the boiler room in 1983, I think.
Good grief.
Because the other boilers rolled, and they decided, we've got all these dressing rooms. Let's put a new boiler room in.
What a fascinating place.
It was actually opened on Monday, June the 30th, 1930 at 7:30 in the evening, and it was known as the Astoria Streatham in those days.
Yes.
It's part of the 4 London Astorias.
So it wasn't an Odeon in those days?
It wasn't named Odeon until 1961, when it was always known as the Astoria, and there were 4 in London, what's now the Academy Brixton, the Astoria Brixton, the
Road?
Old Kent Road and Finsbury Park. And Old Kent Road is now demolished, and I'm not sure about Finsbury Park. This is the only one still to remain.
Working. Oh, excellent.
Yeah. It did come under Odeon's control in 1941.
Yes.
It was really just on the outbreak of war.
Yes.
I'm not sure if Oscar Deutsch obtained them first and then they became part of Odeon. I'm not too sure of that for my time, but it was known as the Astoria right up until they did what they call a modernisation scheme in the early 60s.
Wow.
We're now going into the old generator room, which is the projection box for Odeon 3.
Amazing where they find these rooms to make projection boxes.
I'm just looking for a room somewhere to put the box from the projection room. They decided on this would do. It's actually an old generator room.
Wow.
I just have to get this one.
Sure.
There's a couple of photographs on the wall here of what it was like when it was a generator room. If you want to see them there. As I said, I always have them. Whatever it is, it's the gone.
Cinemation, haven't you got one going to Odeon South End, the old Cinemation?
Oh, yes, the very old one at South End, yes. That's the very early ones.
Is that in South End now, or are you sending it to them?
I didn't know.
Oh, it's probably in there now, then.
Yeah, we've got one old one here still, which...
I thought that was going to South End.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I haven't heard about that.
Oh, right, it's okay. Perhaps somebody said it, you know.
Cinemation 2002 and number 1 and number 3.
Yes.
And it was really like doing that, they sort of said, could you single man this theatre?
Yes.
There's 97 steps between the lower projection and the top projection box. And there's quite a lot of round to this one. And but when we go to 8 screens then I think, well, I know we're going to have 2 more.
Yes.
We do have 2 here Thursday nights and Fridays. But unfortunately, when you've got a lot of short films like this Thomas, the Tank Engine, and
Stuart Little,
and Chicken Run, etc., sometimes you don't get a lot of time to get round and get them laced up. And also we've got 2 scope films this week, which we have to go and manually change the lens. So it all has to be sort of programs timed around when you can be there.
Of course.
But I mean, it is recognised that you can't do the best in class, and things sometimes do have to run a bit late, or if there is a technical problem and you can't get it sorted, you have to say, well, look, we'll have to cancel the next performance.
I'm sure that doesn't happen very often.
No, we try not to. I mean, one of our biggest problems last year was film thinking around the plug-in units.
Yes.
And we didn't have the brake devices installed.
Yes.
And it meant you had 20 minutes of film running around and the rest of the programme would have to cancel. And a year ago it did it on the mummy and we just had to get another copy. We just couldn't sort that copy out. That's the problem with polyester.
Yes.
Right, so one more shirt on the tank engine. One advantage of being here is that you don't have to wait to start it, and although I can be here at this time, with 3 minutes to go, at 7 o'clock, it's not enough. Which is why we have a close-up projection room.
Oh, excellent.
The other problem is with the cinemation, when the aperture plate goes over, it doesn't always go over exactly as it should.
But that's always been a problem.
Yeah. We did have these new turrets put on around 1994, 95. They are a lot quicker than the old turrets. The old ones used to take about 27 seconds to go around.
I remember those. I had those in Liverpool.
Well, these go not as quick as they used to go because it was the fuses, but they do go quicker than 27 seconds, as you can see.
Oh yes.
And they also will go automatically on the
Can you do that again for me, please?
Just go and back to our screen. The only fault with it, if I was to do that probably another 3 or 4 times, the fuse would say, go away and blow.
No.
Yeah, we have had that when we had a problem with it,
Yes.
testing it, and it
Yes.
just blows out the fuse. But they're not a bad turrets, but there are Cinemacanica do make some even better one now.
Yes.
It's like everything.
Of course, it gets better as
Yeah.
it goes along.
So now I'm going to start Thomas, and as I'm here, I can just press the red button, and I just press the red button there. It would do it automatically,
Sure.
and it will now get to the start. It isn't a very good presentation way of starting because curtains, pageants,
Altogether.
everything come on all together. All that's happened is the house lights just come down, and now it's on. We now have the adverts. And then you wonder yourself, well, I hope I've got the right film on, because it's often you're running two different films on the same When we are refurbished here, they're going to go over to festoon curtains, especially in this screen.
Yeah.
As I say, we've got all the plans and details because we were within a month or so of starting.
Yes.
And to get a bigger picture size here,
Yes,
they're
that'd
going
be
to go to
nice.
festoons.
Yeah,
So they've got the
lovely.
space above. A little later on, I can show you, because I've got to get to know we can come back here and I can just take you above this auditorium, and we'll show you. You can look right up to the grid where all the old barrels used to hang. See all the safety curtain machinery is there.
Yes,
and everything.
fantastic.
Well, I'll probably get to number 5
Okay.
to get laced up in a minute.
Let's go then.
Right.
Right.
While we're around here, I'll just pop up to what we call the plenum room,
Yes.
and put the plenums on, and it's like a massive ship's engine room up there. All right, see you on. Plenum room.
I love these old cinemas with all these staircases.
Well, we've just had a lot of work done on the roof here. No, we're not actually going up there. They've just put a brand new iron staircase in for us
Right.
there, because the other one was condemned.
Yes.
So
Good God.
that's completely new.
Look at that.
Yeah, it goes right to up and above.
Jeez. What do you have to go up there for?
Well, not for no reason, but the only thing is that we've just had new water tanks installed up there. Plus, a lot of the girders were rusting and coming through the brickwork.
Yes.
And before the work could actually be done under the health and safety legislation now, the entire staircase had to be renewed at both sides at quite a cost.
Wow.
And I think, I don't know what the cost was, but I think it
Pretty
came out of
expensive,
the company's
Yes.
main budget.
Well,
But certainly they were working here 6 months on the roof.
Jeez, look at that organ chamber.
Yes, the old organ
Light
chambers there.
floor, great.
Unfortunately, the organ chamber's become a pigeon loft now, and
so is the way.
we can't get in there. But that was out to the old grid loading and everything, storage tanks.
Wow.
So we just got to the plenum room, and this stuff here was the old. In the early days, they had what's called a washer.
Oh yes, I remember those.
Yeah. And it was removed or disconnected after the Legionnaires' disease.
Yes.
And I'll just put some lights on.
Oh, look at this.
Stick some lights on. See the size of this room.
Wow, this is so big.
Some lights on there. I'll make a bit more light for you. This is the ventilation plant, which I'm just going to put that other light on, give you a bit more. That drives the fresh air into Odeons 1, 2 and 4 only.
Yes.
The rest are done on small and then massive, huge motors, as you can see, 240 three-phase motors. We've just had a new motor installed on there as it burnt out. But the amount of noise you get from these, this just looks for 2 minutes at the rear stalls.
Yes.
And massive, huge man
Yes.
possibly like an engine repair in there. And that will drive the fresh air into 2 and 4.
Yes.
and this one into the main number 1 auditoria. So we still have to put on the old-fashioned one.
Oh no!
Put new ones in.
Yes.
It's debatable. But and over here we have the gauges for the when we had washer here.
Yes.
Little old wooden jet handles and everything, but still you can control all. They still work somehow. They're actually made of wood, and they would control the water flow into the various gauges. We have been told that this is worth quite a bit of money as someone, you know, who might have a pub which concentrates on shipping and naval things. But, and then the water used to flow all through here.
Yes.
And wash and I don't know if there's no light in there. But now we're just down to dry air filters now.
Yes.
Which just really have changed, so they're just
Oh, sure.
just the old dry air filters. These water coolers are illegal now, I understand.
Yes.
That's roughly the size of a heater tank.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, of course, it does the heat, obviously, when the boilers are on, it's pretty hot. So. You okay there?
Yep.
So, I'll go to number 5 now. So.
Okay, you lead the way.
Yeah, we can go along here. So this is the top dressing room corridor.
Yes.
And the dressing rooms are now sort of used for storage by the rent organisation, and it's typically just used for storage of their files, although we're no longer part of rank now.
Yes.
And all this has really been left to be skipped, but the cost of getting it removed is quite astronomical. Yes, and some old archives. The rank organisation did store some of their archives here, the old ledgers and books of the directors from the 30s and 40s, and they've been taken away, of course, but they had a lot of the early minutes of the meetings of the when they were going to revamp the Odeon in Leicester Square in 1967.
No, wow.
Made very interesting reading, and but they all went, because they would obviously need it. Many of our dressing rooms are like this. I mean, just basically storage altogether. Water those baking trays because bottles, and all stuff in them. Wow. The thing is, they won't clear them because it's the cost of clearing it. You know?
Yes, it's doing no harm, just sat there, I suppose.
Let's go around that side now.
It's an amazing building, Geoff.
Yeah, you get to know it. I mean, when I came here, I was only going to stay for a few months, but it sort of grows on you.
Yes.
Literally. We're down what we call appendix. There's been a video made on the Odeon Associated Theatres.
Oh yes.
Which was made by John Fernie, and he's in some shots of the auditorium before it was tripled.
Yes.
Or before it was converted in 1960, 61 rather, and then what it was like then when it opened.
Yes.
Been working quite a diverse area.
Yes, definitely.
Here in the foyer, we used to, before the foyer was modernised in 1961, it was done out in an Egyptian ornate theme, and behind that poster frame there was a little mermaid outside the stairs, and she was like a gargoyle.
Yes.
Used to put spout water and everything.
Oh, fantastic.
And when we put the poster frame up, we had to drill holes, and we knocked a brick out, and the little cave is still there, with the pipes going and everything. And there's, this is the third ceiling. You've got a ceiling above here, plus another ceiling above here again.
Yeah.
We're now going down to projection room 5.
Does it front stores?
Yes, it's all front stores now. This was part of screen 2 up until 1991.
Yes.
You can still see where the seats were on the carpet. The only way they could get access was to put a wall in and reduce the seating in screen 2.
Yes.
To give us access into the projection box for screen 5.
All right.
And we're now going under Odeon 1 now. This is the platform in front of the screen in number 1.
Yes.
And this is now projection room 5, which is completely new. Everything in it is completely brand new in 1991. And the only problem is we've got the digital sound upstairs, and it often breaks through into this auditorium, and you can hear it above, but there's nothing. That's probably a common thing with a lot of cinemas.
Yes.
And here we've got a big Victoria 5 CNR system. All screens now have rupture arms fitted, plus PTR roller assemblies.
Lovely.
So we've got that. And an emergency escape hatch will lead you right up in front of the audience at Odeon.
Oh no!
One, yes. Yeah. You go up there, open a trapdoor, and you come out under the screen. And you wait for the audience. It could be used as a shortcut if you.
Yes.
That's the late night show tonight. Just 24 hours a day because it's a nice area. Yeah, it's a sensible around. We're in there. Yeah, we have on the toilet. Projection still.
No, it's in the management.
Was that a urinal, was it?
Yes. It's clear down to the P-track from there on in front.
Yeah, this, where we're standing now, is going to be completely removed.
Really?
Yes, this whole lot. Well, if things had gone to plan, it would no longer be here now. But whilst the company is still under discussion with the local authority, we just carry on. But this screen will become 2 screens, and therefore the box will have to be extended. They may leave the floor in, but we'll have to go much further each way.
There's not much of a flow between here, is there, in the screen?
No. But we get one of the best pictures in here.
Really?
I think certainly get one of the best sound apart from our number 1, which is digital.
And the people are sat below us, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. And unfortunately, the seats at the side, there's very poor sight lines as you're sitting like that.
Yes, sure.
Going to the and they want to convert this into 2 screens. But on the front of the screen, that is your orchestra pit. Where you see the curtains.
Yes.
That is the orchestra pit there.
Really?
When it was a stage, when it was a theatre. And the access into that is via the old air raid shelters underneath.
Oh no! Oh wow!
Yeah, this is the one that often people like this one, but we have like we call, let's say, art house type movies. This is the theatre that they like to put them in because it's sorry.
Okay.
It's one of the most comfortable in a way. And,
Yes.
You can hear the digital above. Now.
I did, yes, I heard that.
Yeah, we're showing Perfect Storm in number 1, and we do get complaints, but there's very little we can do about it. A certain amount of soundproofing was done.
What can you do, you know?
And we've had the digital in number 1, it's been in 2 years now. And there are 32 effects speakers in that auditorium upstairs.
Wow!
So, that's because of the sheer size of it.
Yes.
Could easily run them. The other 2, numbers 1 and 3,
Yes.
are automated.
You just have the end sequence?
Just the end sequence, yes. Yes, the Cinemation AL92s we'll put in here. We have asked for more automation systems when we are done, but all these things, as usual, depend on money availability and budgets. But
of course.
It
must be difficult remembering what you've got.
go into that all. That's the front stall toilets, and you'll see some of the decorative ceiling, which actually was the main stall ceiling right across. And those that large formation there, that would have been a house light in the middle there.
Oh, right.
So there's a little wall under it, but the board would have been put up in 1961 to cover up where the old large house light fitting used to be.
Sure.
And they go right across. When they converted us in 1991, they refurbished these two screens and of course had to build a new wall. And you could tell without the seats in one of the screens how wide it must have been.
Yes.
Because it's quite a wide building. And you can tell by the screen we've just been in how wide
Well, when we came in,
is.
I said to Steve, Jesus, this is big. You know, when we came in, didn't I?
Yeah. And of course, a lot of this is new, in effect. This was. You can see by our little closed circuit television there, it gives you a.
Oh right, does it flick through each screen?
You don't get a quality, but you know there's a picture on the screen.
Yes.
And it has actually saved us a few times. It started up, missed its pulse.
Yes.
And you've gone some way into the adverts, you know, you quickly get round there.
Yes, sure.
But before we had that, it would go sometimes into the feature, and then you'd be too late.
Yes.
It's something I'd like to put in all Odeon cinemas, but there again, it's a matter of cost factor, I think.
Yes.
Everything this side is virtually the same as Odeon 2. It's being Odeon 4.
Yes.
We did actually repaint this box, so one of my assistants did, earlier on this year. I said, as it's all coming down, is it worth it? But he likes painting, which is more than I do. I try and stand it. I do hate painting.
I hate painting myself.
But I'm not a painter. So this is Stuart Little now. He's doing very good business.
Good. See some of your ceiling.
Yes, the ceiling goes right, let's say right across. And this was the old stalls, back wall of the stalls where the usher used to sit.
Alright, I bet that could tell many a tale. We actually sat next to the usherette. We won't go into that. No, we've all done it.
Well, there's the old cleaner's light switch and intercom when it was the original stalls. It was just never taken out.
Wow.
And that's where they used to sit, and the usherette would sit there. And that's the radio 20 minutes gone down now, so just going to change the radio over in a minute. We've got a photograph here of the old counterweight system, which is now the back of Odeon 3. I don't know if you want to take me a picture of the cat down, but I could. That is where you went into the auditorium.
Yeah.
That was all the old stage before it was altered. It was used for storage and everything. Big cat lover here. We actually did have a cat here once at the Odeon.
Yes.
1973-74. They demolished a load of old houses down and around the back to build up new blocks of flats, and those houses were infested with rodents and everything, and we were getting rather overrun with mice and rent-a-kill. I mean, they did what they could. So somebody suggested we got a cat, and we left the cat in the circle. Up there, and it was a black cat, and it was like a black panther going across
Yes,
the seats at night,
yeah.
catching the mice.
Wow.
10, 15 a night, and it's certainly, we put it on the petty cash for its cat food.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very good. It certainly cleared us of the mouse problem.
Fantastic.
There's Rent-A-Kill put paint down on that, but somebody said, why don't we just get a cat light, you know? Hello? So now we just... I do read sometimes in the cinema technology of not letting film touch the floor.
You can't help it.
And
though.
I would just like them to come and run a 5-screen cinema,
Yes.
getting round and putting films in buckets and taking them round. You know?
I know.
Problems with it, of course, is that you've got to remember to pump the oil into the cross box every so often.
Yes.
As they will seize up, and we did have a faulty oil pump once, and they did seize up. So it's not a myth or anything like that. Right, that's number 4 ready to start. Let's go inside number 5. Saturday is probably the longest day here as far as trading hours are concerned. We're on the screen, or we're open around 9:30 for the Saturday morning movie mobs, and the late night shows finish at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. Somebody else takes over at 6, so I'm not here all day, that has been known, but during the holidays, we are actually on one of our longest trading hour days Saturday here.
Yes.
With our early morning Saturday bitches plus late night shows.
Wow.
So during holiday time, sometimes you have to do the whole day because there's only 2 of you, and
That's
the
right.
person had done the Friday all day. So
Yes.
we're down to 3 to 2 people then. So I'm now going to start off with the next show of chicken run. So we're on a 2nd, 3rd week, 4th week maybe of this, and yet we're still busy with it.
That's good. It's a good movie though,
I just
isn't
wonder
it?
where they all come from around here. So yeah, it's so we're going to start off with this. Way now. I remember earlier when we were up in the planning room showing you what drives the fresh air into the screens, Odeons 2, 4 and 1. With this screen we just have a small little control box like that.
That's your air conditioning for
Yes, drives a small fan down in the basement, and much more cost effective than the old Pennants are and everything. One thing that was very helpful in researching some of the history of this theatre was some years ago a student from Reading University came here wanting to do a project on the theatre, and I was able to give her some information. But being a student, she had access to the reading room at the British Museum and went there and found that all the old architects' journals from 1929 to 1930, which dealt on a more architectural sphere about how the building was built and everything, and she got them photocopied and sent them down to me.
Wow.
So, and it was really amazing, and also cuttings from the old Kinematograph Weekly from 1929, 1930. When we were being converted here in 1991, they did find an old newspaper stuffed into a door frame dated 1929.
No.
And also this year, when we were having some work done on the girders on the roof, when some of the brickwork was removed, the builders found a bottle, and in it was a small note, but he wasn't too clear what it said, but it was some note that if you ever find this, and it was an address in Clapham, which is only about 2 miles from here.
Yes.
But I don't think they were the type of builders that were interested in time capsules, so we didn't actually see it. But he said that I understand the bottle's still in there and it's been bricked up again. So
Wow.
when sometimes we're crawling through an old bit of void, you might find an old cigarette packet or something.
Yes.
Wool's Woodbines. Of course, in those days, smoking was allowed in all parts of the building. But there's been quite a bit published on this. The chairman of the Streatham Society very kindly unearthed some photographs taken from 1930 and got me some copies made, and I've had them framed and everything and hanging up in my flat at home.
Fantastic.
I wake up and look at after dreaming most of the night about the theatre, I wake up looking at photographs of it.
Oh wow. And I wake up next to my bed there's a cinemation.
Ah, right.
Yes. As you do.
Yes, as you do. I think, and I think a lot of technicians do, because one of my assistants was dreaming. He says, I often dream of this place. I said, you will, you do. It occupies a lot of your working time and even some of your leisure time as well.
Your cinemation, you say, is it just sat on the floor, the old one, the out one?
Yes, the old one's in one of the dressing rooms around the back. It was never in use here.
No?
These were the first cinemations we had, and this was one that used to have the old pegs in it.
That's right, I like those. That's what I've got next to mine.
It's in round the back in one of the dressing rooms. One of our engineers had a small room round there, and he's got a load of old things in there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what belongs to us and what belongs to... We had a lot of theatres dropped left their equipment was stored here. Croydon, when that closed, and Sheffield was all brought down here and stored here.
Because Steve, just here, Steve used to have a cinemation, didn't you? That's in Odeon, South End.
It is.
Did you used to have a name up there? I mean, the cinemation I had in Liverpool was called Herbie, and one of my cousins at South End is called Fred, funny enough. Did yours have a name, Steve?
No, I've heard of a few named George after the airplane joke.
Go on.
Where they got the autopilot in the film Airplane.
So you don't know if your cinemation was a he or she?
No, it wasn't in use when I came.
I wasn't it?
I took it out and sent it to a training school.
Okay.
I believe it's in South End now.
It is, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Michael wants to know whether it had a name. Okay.
Not the self-pulse on it.
Oh, right.
That's just the name that somebody sort of thought up.
I used to love it, you know. Yes.
This was the staircase to like all Astorias, they all had tea rooms and cafes and restaurants. And the restaurant up here was up in the old...
Look at this.
This has been much altered, although recently the original ceiling was put back and painted.
That is gorgeous.
It was much wider than this at one time.
That is nice.
The manager at the time, George Race, who's now general manager at Kensington Odeon, he had these chandeliers put up and had some gold leaf. All right, okay. You can be on the move. Susanna had one of our team leaders. And this is the old foyer. And there were kitchens with dummy waiters we had here and everything. The staff rooms were added over there. And if you look, that's the entrance to our Odeon digital building. There's been an upper retail area put in now. And if you just move this out of the way for you, you can see the original ceiling and the old Egyptian arches. I don't know if you can get around there, Fred, if you can see. Just right up there, there's the old original Egyptian arches and ceiling.
Wow.
Okay. And that was the original height of the ceiling, and it was similar in the lower foyer as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
So a full ceiling was put in, and you go up there and you can, and then of course you just go the full length of these windows. Unfortunately, those signs, and just a little history on those signs. The original Odeon Epsom, which closed in 1970, 71, they came out of the Odeon Epsom.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they did light, but under health and safety, you can get a belt off them. And
yes.
And I said to the manager, I said, I don't think we should be lighting those up because there has been fatalities.
Sure.
Yeah. And no, it was agreed that no, you just leave them unlit. That's the only one that really we can keep working now.
Yes.
But they were actually from the original Odeon Epsom. So,
this is a lovely lounge.
there used to be a huge clock behind those mirrors. All that was done out, altered in 1961 when the light fittings were different when I came here. But the manager, and you can still see the original exit box just above there before they boarded it all in.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, the other thing that sometimes they just go out and slip, and I wish they were never up there, but we leave them up.
I've used them in Portsmouth, and we used to just switch them off at the mains, and it was okay.
Trouble is our mains are. This is the full mic at Dover and Hessian Dover.
Yes.
And it wasn't until we were converted in '79 that they realised, when we had similar doors to the old stalls,
Yes.
that there was the original American oak was underneath, and there is the original wood from 1930. Do you want me to open the door or we can go back up there after? This has been much altered down here in my time. I think it's about the 4th or 5th kiosk.
Yeah. Because I suppose when the projection box wasn't there, the foyer was steeper.
Yes. Oh yes. That was the original entrance.
Yes.
That was the original. No, that was the original store's entrance. I'm going to start this one now. So. It's 250. This goes up. So. 249. Has been known to forget to start a film, and
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
especially somebody might come wants to be shown somewhere or
Yes.
the meter, and you just forget to come around and start the film light. There are the identical arches above here,
Oh, yes.
where they've now built the staff rooms in.
Oh, right.
So you used to have a whole line of arches
Yeah.
in each foyer.
It's a long building. It's huge, isn't it?
Yes, if you look at the brick, if you ever go round to it's the Academy Brixton now, where they do all
Yes.
the live shows. You go in there, and they were both being built more or less at the same time, within a year or two of each other.
Yes.
You can sort of think, oh, it's the same brickwork at Streatham, or go to
really?
go to here and same brickwork as Brixton, and they sort of built used the same builders and contractors.
Wow.
When you look at the front of the building, there's a cinema on the West End, which was designed by the same architect. It's now the Prince Edward Theatre.
Oh, yes, that's a beautiful theatre.
Edward Stone designed
Yes.
that. And the outside...
It's beautiful brick.
Yeah, it looks
Beautiful.
just like the front of this theatre. It's the same architect. Those are very diplomatic on lots of
Of course.
So you have to be. Right, okay, where we're just going now is up where the old fly floor used to be. And it's now above Odeon 3. And let's just do a pageant here. This is where you can get yourself locked out very easily.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Few builders have, so. capture all right. Okay. Sorry, as long as it catches up. The builders do, and they put the mobile there, head office, and get us to come and let them out. This is where we're now above Odeon 3 when the door stays open. It's the old fly floor. This is holding the old ceiling. Now, this is not the best of torches, but right up there's the grid. You see, Gill Theatre grid. It would be 80 feet from the stage, roughly. That's a cavity cutter which has to be put in under the fire regulations.
Yes.
There's your ceiling of Odeon 3. That's ventilation that leads to the plenum room up, and there's your safety curtain there, which is now permanently pinned up, overweighted, chained up, welded up. It'll never come down. Well, let's bring that device on there. We had the old safety curtain motor used to be here, and that's the bridge that would take you across to the other side where the counterweight system was. And there's your safety curtain. Now, this safety curtain, apparently, it was done out something not the same as the safety curtain at the Odeon Leicester Square, but it had a mural painted on it.
Yes.
And it was all done out in an Egyptian Renaissance style, painted over. When they modernised in '61, this one didn't escape being painted over, and it just purely became a white canvas.
Wow.
But you can feel, or you could feel through the paint, the old designs and everything that were on it. The motor was taken out because it was a virtually brand new motor, and given to another theatre, and they managed to raise the safety curtain up in '91 without the motor.
Wow.
And the way they did that was just keep on overweighting it, dropping old stage counterweights down and
Yes.
down and down and down, and then the thing just suddenly started to go up like a knife through butter.
Wow.
And it's also chained up right up there,
Yeah.
and it's inspected by Eagle Star and everything.
Gosh.
You can see the old counterweight there. See that there, the old weight, the bit of or brake weight or whatever it was.
Wow.
Right up there, and then it was as I say, welded up, chained up, and overweighted.
Yes.
So it could never
Come
come down. No. And the old motor used to stand here. This was I'm not going too fast for you, am I? No, this was the original front curtain motor.
Really?
When it was a single cinema.
Yes.
And the curtain track used to hang under this bridge here.
Is it
It's
still
still
there?
there, I think. The old bridge, and I believe, which was, but there again, that ceased to be used in 1961, 62 when they built a new proscenium arch. It had a 32-way counterweight system.
Yes.
With the stage board we saw earlier, plus hemp sets, trapdoors on the stage, various lifts, and the only thing it didn't have was a revolving stage. And
Wow.
it had a resident orchestra here when it opened,
Really?
and it was cine variety.
So the stage was as big as Drury Lane then?
Yes, it had every facility that Drury Lane had apparently at the time, and the screen used to fly out. That was on counterweights 4, 5, 6, and 7, I think, and 4 ropes. And
Wow.
we used to fly the screen out. Used to be 3 technicians or 3 projectionists were in those days putting on the ropes, and then 2 people up here, one each end of the bridge, because it used to foul the bridge a bit.
Oh, yeah.
So we used to have to push the screen away from the bridge as it flew out.
Jesus.
And it used to go up very easily and come down very easily, and it had to be done that way because when they had stage shows, they wanted the theatre to remain open on the Sunday for films.
Yes. Wow.
We can't actually get through anymore. Well, not without hacking up the cavity cutter. That was put in as a fire regulation, and I believe it acts as a fire brake. You can see the ceiling of Odeon 3 down, just down there. The light fitting is there.
Yes.
Just see the light fitting down there. So, so it shows that was the auditorium we went in earlier. Unfortunately, there's no way we can get down on there, even to change a light. We have to erect large ladders out to change these lights. That would be your screen just under there. and there's the old entrance the artists used to come in to get onto the stage.
Wow.
The old stage lantern releases down there.
Yes.
I can probably just pop down to that.
Wow.
Which is rather... which it goes back to the days of the original cinema. They said you can have new demos. In fact, this one's only a few months old. It's the new...
Yes.
That House Like One was playing up. They said you can have the new demos, but don't expect them to be wired back up to the... put in the projection box, which is a bit of a pain, but you can't have everything.
No, of course.
This was the original pageant dinner.
Oh yes,
Gill,
I recognise
Gill
it.
fried,
Yes,
for
yes.
example. And plus some old ones, I believe, came from somewhere, which when...
Oh, electrosonic, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Battery rooms on your...
Anything you want
Okay,
to.
right. This is the battery room now. Luckily, it went over to dry cell batteries a few years ago, which means now no more topping up with distilled water.
Oh,
So,
excellent. Oh, that's neat, isn't it?
yeah, that replaces 109 batteries, which used to be right across where you're standing, right across the floor there. And really, they're 10-year life on them.
240 volts.
240, yeah. We're one of the few Odeons, or few theatres, which has 240 volt secondary. Most theatres have 110, or a lot of places do.
Yes.
Which makes it easier for lamps. Everything's interchangeable.
That's right, yeah.
And this was, say, the battery room, and it was massive. You used to have to come up here every week, topping up the acid with distilled water, and back in then.
Thank you.
Yeah, they had what they call it the orchestra room, but it's also was known as was used as air raid shelters in the war down here. And you go right. You probably feel how much cooler it's got.
Yes.
And we're actually 12, coming down 12, 20 foot below. I just want to talk to 12, 20 foot below ground now. You feel how musty it's getting there. And one thing, and it's still here, it's not in use, but it's still here, is what they call a sterilant vacuum plant, which was something you plugged.
Oh, I know these. And the cleaners used to go around and plug it into the socket in the floor.
Yes.
I'm old enough to remember that as well.
Streatham Turbine vacuum cleaning plant.
Good God.
Engineering.
Yes.
In London. And I never actually remember it in use, but it was in use up until the early 60s apparently.
Oh, I do. I remember it at my local in Liverpool.
And this was the old air raid shelter. Now some of the plant is situated through here. And though we can't actually get in through the grills, this is built onto the doorway of where the old, you feel a draft coming through here now. This was originally a doorway, and the orchestra used to file up from here and go up into the orchestra pit, which is at the front of Odeon 5.
Wow.
And if you could get in there, you can still see the little steps he used to use to come.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
One thing we have got here, Streatham is often well known for its underground rivers and streams.
Yeah.
Which is why there's no London Underground here.
Ah.
Because of the amount of subterranean water there is. And we have a pump on the other side of this shelter, and there is some water gets in under the building, it has to be kept going 24 hours a day.
Yes.
Just to pump the water away.
Yeah, because the water table in London's getting higher all the time.
Yeah. And you've got a small pump over here in the corner, which if it packs up, within a day or two, see the water. You still see the water there now. It's all. We've had no rain or anything, but that water
Yeah.
Now, if that pump is to pack up, or you see how it's dripping in, and it's only dripping now, but you get a heavy rain or something, and it's pouring down.
It's so clean it is, though.
Yeah. Well, very clean water. Yeah, it's not polluted or anything. Yeah.
Interesting.
As I say, you can just see the old notices of when this was shelter.
Ah, look at that.
In fact, up until not so that long ago, There was an old original notice here signed by the original general manager, Charles Penley, of the London Astoria Theatres, Paramount, you know,
Wow.
to that effect, but it went missing. And I think this must have been a situation of an old sink once. You still see sink on the wall and tap and that. You know.
Yeah. Jeez.
And that's, yeah.
Why did they gone to the expense of putting a studio?
The council insisted on it. This is because we have an auditorium above us here. They considered they wanted a 1.5 hour fire resistant ceiling in the basement, even though we're not allowed storage down here. And they came up with this within about a week of opening the 2 new screens in 1991. They said, oh, we want a full ceiling for that, so that extra money.
There's a coat hook.
Yes. One left. Oh, there's a few there. There's 7 coast books. That's the old-fashioned kind you used to have in school, wasn't it? Put your cap and blazer on.
And what sort of things used to happen down here?
Yeah, the old. There's one interesting just along. I think it's here, but we've got 1, 2 still dotted around. The main electrical installation here was done by the. I should know it off by heart now, but it's the Berkeley Electrical Engineering Company Limited of 29 Buckingham Gate, London.
So it says Streatham Astoria.
Streatham Astoria, that's right, yeah,
Yeah.
which would have been in June 1930. And the name of the electrical contractors, 29 Buckingham Gate. And you see the date of June 1930.
Wow.
And some of these circuits are still in use, but it's never been changed. And Victoria 7458. Yeah, the Streatham Astoria list of circuits. And I see some of the old fuse boxes are really old now.
Oh God, yes.
And some of the wiring is pretty ancient
Yes.
here too. One thing we do have here on, just saying on the, I've just turned these lights out. We've got our own, well not actually our own substation because it does serve part of Streatham, but we have got a substation here which is situated just on the floor above us.
Yes.
And being not exactly an MEB property, but they pay a rent for it.
Oh, right.
And obviously we couldn't get in there, but to show you the roller shutter. All right. To show you the roller shutter there. That's the roller shutter.
Oh, right, for the substation.
The substation, yeah.
Wow.
And next door here we have the the primary intake room, which still has some of the old theatre electrical switchgear in.
Wow.
And that's the old motor generators, the theatre had its own generators when it opened, no longer here now, house motors. And auditorium stage lighting, oil filled and everything.
Oh God, look at that.
And I remember when we had Ian Drury, I believe it was Ian Drury, one of the big stage shows we had here, because they were getting more and more lighting,
Yes.
as the time went on. And this kept tripping out, and I remember we had to sort of actually chain it up to stop it tripping, just to get through the end of the performance.
Yes, sure.
And so get electricians in. We had a new LED head put in and everything, but a lot of this serves Odeons for 3 and 5.
Yes.
I know the meters are here and everything, we take all that out.
Yes.
Electricity readings here.
Look at these things.
Massive old buzz bars. All still, in use.
Mm-hmm.
There are plans that when we are redeveloped, this will all come out because because I believe the load is going to have to be
Yes.
increased. Just another list of circuits there. Streatham Astoria.
Amazing.
It's amazing how some of these things still remain,
Yes.
As sometimes things do tend to disappear when you have contractors on the premises.
Absolutely.
And just show you in here, the artists would leave the dressing rooms and would come down here. And there's the old. Is this torch all right? Is that okay? Good. There's the old counterweight system for the sea dock. You see the shutter up there, and that exit we went in.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the old. I can't really put another light on here. Is that right? That's the old counterweight system that used to operate the sea dock shutter. The entire.
Wow.
And when they came to build this exit, because they found it was riddled with asbestos all this, which then of course added further to the cost. But
It's amazing.
yeah, just turn this handle and the and the roller shutter used to go up. Yeah, it's, we've got plenty of Aladdin's caves here.
Oh, that's amazing.
If you want just a shot of a typical storeroom here.
Look at this, it's orchestra.
Oh yeah, that's the other side there.
Yes.
That's what they call probably a typical room. The light will come on in a minute. It's very slow starting. This is a room of what's left from the stage show days, what's left of... And in fact, we got the projector over here that came out of Haymarket, Victoria 10s.
Oh, yes.
Which I remember was one of your...
That's right, I was there, yes.
And this is all stuff that's been dumped off here and, you know...
It is an Aladdin's cave, isn't it?
Yeah. Had merely an engineer poking around here. Small story of those speakers just over there
Yes.
in the corner. They were delivered here in around Christmas 1968 by Bernard Weaver, who was the rank stage sound engineer.
Bernie. I know Bernie. Yeah, I know Bernie.
And he said, I'm just going to leave these here for Christmas and I'll pick them up in January '69. And every time I see him, I always say, your speakers are still at Streatham. He's long retired now, of course.
Yeah, I seen him the other week.
Yeah. No, it's not the one. We got a problem just the end of Mission Impossible 2. It starts wrapping around on the credits. It's normally that everybody's out by then, but it's just sticking at some point. To do it twice yesterday. Let's see what we get up here. That's the old stage property room in there. It's really just an empty room, but it was used as stable ponies in when we had Cinderella here.
Really?
Check
Wow.
this. They had quite a thickness to get through this wall when they built this screen, because this was just a brick wall across.
All right.
Quite a thickness and
Good
a hell of a
catch,
job
yes.
to get through. Yeah, this would have been the wall. Yeah, that was they had to get through that amount of thickness to build an entrance through.
Wow.
And it was pretty thick, solid brick. Wasn't like a forced wall set they put up there.
That's right.
We're going to have all new opening apartments. That's coming down there. And that's really Mission Impossible.
Yeah, this must be one of the very, very earliest ones,
It
because
is.
others you'd have to wait.
In fact, it is so early that there's a limit to the amount of film you can get on a plate.
Uh-huh.
Long film like Titanic
Yes.
was very risky to load up on it.
Wow.
We did lose some years ago Gone with the Wind as the last 12 minutes came off. And we do ask that whenever we get a long film like Titanic, when it moves to number one, it's transferred into the ones that have the cinema mechanical plates in.
Yes.
As the plates down there are just a little bit larger. This is where, having to get from here to number one, if something was to go wrong in one of the other screens, it becomes really a decision of what now takes the priority.
Yes.
One of the worst things that can happen is somebody will come in the box and say, oh, there's a toilet flooding somewhere, can you come and turn the water off? Or there's a man called to read the gas meter.
Oh, I know.
And you ask the gas meter man to wait, and
I know.
but it does happen sometimes. But I think after 32 years, there's nothing much can happen here.
No, you've seen it all.
Luckily, not many fires, and they've been relatively small. We've had plenty of floods and that sort of thing. to hold that back slightly so it doesn't move there. The reason it's 97 is that whenever we have any work done here, say like maybe new equipment going in or something like that, they often price the job on the number of steps between the lower foyer and the top box,
Really?
and they counted them, and that's why. We come into a very old part of the cinema now, the original rear exits where light fittings.
Oh yes.
That would have been the door to the kitchen, which is now one of those popcorn storerooms. Oh, sorry, I'm going a bit fast here. If I return to the back, the auditorium here. When you're ready, you just come up through here.
Okay. Look at this. Oh, this is beautiful. Yes. Oh, this is lovely.
It's Phillips plate system, has the same history as those in box 2 and 4.
Yes.
Victoria 8 neck, which came from the Odeon at Stafford, I think. Installed in 1981, replaced the old West Stars. Super Zenith 450 conversion,
Yeah.
which will all be replaced as and when we are upgraded.
Sure. Is it, where's the other one now, Geoff?
Sorry?
Where's the other projector now?
In projection box 3.
Oh, of course, yes.
Generator.
Yeah, you said yes.
The other one of that went to the Odeon West End because they were done the same time as we were, so they were twinned.
Wow.
I don't think they've got it now. We have been told the mech will be replaced.
Yes.
Plus the digital head, of course.
Yes, 701.
Quite effective.
I know, it's very good. Yeah.
32 counter 32 effect speakers. Round. those up. They were hands.
Never.
I was told by a member of the Odeon technical team that, you know, what's wrong with them? That's something from the technical office.
Yeah, thank you.
The rooms here are the old rewind rooms, and this is the old rewind room as it was known. Bits and pieces of old equipment still here. Wow. I even believe that spotlight came from Southend.
Yes. God. Yeah, my little spotlights here.
This is the rewind room, and it's now bits and pieces of old
Yes.
stuff left here.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Just, I know Andy wants one of these rooms to put in all the old Def Aid equipment.
Oh yes.
You know, more storerooms up here.
Ah, look at the old clock.
Yeah, that was the original clock from the box. Yeah. Was working up to quite recently, and then it just,
Gave up.
gave up, I think, yeah. So I've seen a photograph from the kinematograph from the I'm going to run down and just start up and very good digital system. It's all computerized now. The storage thing, over it, so there's nothing you'll be able to do.
No.
He said there shouldn't really be a lot on it, so they've always got something new over there on the market. It's, I'm coming back up.
Okay,
So
thanks for you then.
if you want to take a view of the lamp room that's next door.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Check up in about 5 minutes.
We've been left in Odeon 1's box. It's amazing. I mean, can you imagine years ago when Geoff telling us about the stage shows and you got the spotlights there, you got the 3 projectors and probably had 2 spotlights and you know all the things going on backstage. It must have been absolutely just amazing in the sense of, we use that word a lot, it's an adjective that says a lot, but young kids today don't know any of this. What do you think, Steve?
Brilliant.
It is, it really, and to be backstage and seeing that safety curtain, although the picture's probably gone in now, the focus a bit, we'll leave that in, or we've left it because you know with me now, but it's really fascinating. Let's have a look at the chapter. I love these Victorian 8s. I mean, they are a workhorse, and they've outlived the DP70s. I remember years ago, when I was like 15, that was like 35 years ago, people were saying to me in the business, oh no, the DP70 is the workhorse, and it's the Rolls Royce, and it was, but the DP75, which came out to supersede it, was really shit. But the DP70s lasted for many years, there's still a few left, but only a few. But these Victoria 8s have actually stayed, and they're still running pretty well, and I think they're going to probably stay here till we all go digital some years in the future, hopefully when I'm not doing it as a version. We know that the lovely projector, and this old arc, Super Zen 450. I mean, this is what I was brought up with from Odeons. It is such an Odeon box, The Odeon switches. Excellent. And of course the old Philips platter. Rollers, cleaning rollers. I always forget the name, what do you know, Steve? PCR rollers. And downstairs there was a pole where Geoff washed them in, I did see that. But it's just really good. And this is a cut-off. If there's a snatch, it just shuts the projector down, just pulls up. Different people have it located in different positions. South end is at the bottom of the platter. But again, it's what's so good about this business. We all have the same equipment. It's all in different places, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting. And we've seen the SRD heads in some different places, but this is a standard fitting here. The old mechanical speakers, monitor speakers. And this is a lovely box. Should we the old school boxes? Oh, some schools here. And the old 6,000 foot metal cylinder Mechanica. That's what I worked on when I worked for Odeon, which, as we all know, we have plastic ones now, which I think is much better. There's your hand, but some of us might like that. Pull some tape for the cinemation. Just cut a bit off, put it wherever the probe is going to read it on the film, and away you go. Like Geoff's just gone downstairs to lace open, because I'm so old now I couldn't go down and get back up at the same time. Geoff can do it. So Geoff said, feel welcome, so we're going to have a look in his cupboards out here. Here's cupboard. This is amp store. Looks like it's a stairway going there as well. An old rectifier. All these little nook and crannies, Another lamp store. Nice and neat, very, very tidy, lovely. Looks like an old washroom in there, some old Zenits. Oh yes. Must have been a toilet or something. So the toilet's there. We don't need to look at the toilet, do we? Same we all do, I'm afraid. Transformer for projectors. No, he struck me. Bloody big transformer for projector.
Same as mine.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
It actually does both. It did
Yeah.
2 projectors.
And we got the sound back, didn't we? So CD500, USA 1310 amplifiers, bass. This was when they had the reel-to-reel tape deck, which they plug in. Yeah, do you remember that, Steve? Yeah.
Yeah, put music to the Foyer.
Yeah, that's right. What was the name of that tape deck we all used to have?
Brennell.
Brennell, that's it, yeah. These are... There we have it, the Odeon Streatham. Some interesting things here. Phillips spools with hub on.
70mm flanges on 35mm hubs.
Yeah, but that's because they would take this off, Steve, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And then they'll be able to put that on. Waiting for Geoff now to come back upstairs. I think Steve and I are knackered. It must be time for a pint, Steve.
That's good.
I mean, we've been at it, like, you know. What can I say? It's thanks to Geoff, really. I'm waiting for Geoff to come back and we'll wait.
Fred, we haven't looked in the spares cabinet.
Come on then, Steve. Go for it.
You never know what you might find.
Sprockets,
Step alignment.
relays, and the other I love these old cabinets, the things you find. It's another miniature Aladdin's cave, isn't it?
Corporate end.
The directors of the company are watching this. Since I left you 15 minutes ago, I've been right round the back to Odeon 3, laced it up, got it started, been to Odeon 2, started it up. I've come back up 97 steps to number 1 to get the perfect storm on. So we don't sort of sit down all day with our feet up.
Wow.
I'm sure they know that, of course.
Yes, it's good.
Why do they go across here and they come here?
So Odeon 3 came off, you've heard it going, and I
Yes.
had to get round to do that. Right. Okay, we go to scope now. Now the plate virtually went across all right then,
Yes.
but one of those things.
Yes, you never know.
No, so always just put the that's perfect storm is shipping.
Geoff, I was just watching your tabs open. They're so slow, they're beautiful.
Yes,
Is there like a story to that?
Yes, it's the motor is not a curtain motor; it's a masking motor. And the reason was that we were tearing the cleats, which are on the drive bobbins, because they were opening so much pressure on them, being something like a 54-foot size screen, even though the picture size is.
What can I say? It's been a fantastic, I really mean it, afternoon. You taking the time to show us around your projection rooms, backstage, all the places. It is an amazing place.
Not at all. It's nice to know someone's interested in it.
Yeah.
And also, you know, many members of the public think it's a matter of somebody sitting there pushing buttons, which, you know, because it isn't, as you well know, being in a profession yourself. But no, it is a fascinating building. It's one in a way which I think after 32 years you've grown to know its faults, know what to kick to move. I don't really mean other technicians, but you know where the faults are and what to look for. And I just hope that our refurbishment goes ahead in the near future. Maybe some people will be watching this in the future and it might have already happened. But it's been a pleasure, Fred.
Very, very
Thank
much
you very much.
indeed. Thank you.